Hi, everyone. I am Christine Castano. I am a senior manager at Major League Soccer. I want to, sorry, you're seeing my cat interrupt my camera here. I do want to thank Women in Soccer for giving us this opportunity and platform to share MLS Advanced with all of you. So we do have a couple of guest speakers that will be joining us midway through. I'm going to share a quick overview of the MLS program, and then we'll bring on Steph and Carly to join us, and they can introduce themselves then. But Pip, I believe you have the presentation queued up. All right, we can go to the page, the next page, and then over again. Let's keep going. So I wanted to share this. If you're familiar with MLS and if you watched MLS Cup last year in December, you saw Wilfried Nancy pictured here, coach of Columbus Crew. He is the first Black head coach to win MLS Cup in 28 seasons in the whole league's existence. And he took a moment to reflect after the match and shared this quote, acknowledging the accomplishment, but also recognizing that there's still a lot to be done within MLS. And that's something that we recognize and are very intentional in changing and creating programming that can change that for underrepresented candidates. So we can go to the next slide. Here I wanted to also just share a quote from the commissioner. It's a pretty lengthy quote. Essentially, the point of this is just to reiterate the importance that the league is placing on this program. There are so many stakeholders that touch this program, not only at the league office, but at our clubs. We have club staff volunteering their time to support this programming. We work with 2 consultants, one based here in the US and one based in the UK. So again, just reiterating like the importance of this program and initiative with MLS and the direction that we want to go in. So we can keep going. So probably want to know what MLS Advance is. So it launched in December of 2022 in support of our diversity hiring policy. That policy was updated at the start of the 2022 season. Essentially what that policy says is for any sporting or coaching position at a club, the final candidate pool has to include 2 underrepresented candidates. And it created a lot more kind of infrastructure and accountability within the league office and with our clubs that was previously lacking. And in support of that policy, like it's one thing to have a policy, but you need programming to support that policy and kind of remove some barriers. So MLS Advance is designed to develop and accelerate the professional career path for underrepresented sporting and coaching candidates, and grow our global database. And then we'll get into a couple slides here, but it offers professional development and networking opportunities for coaches that are ready to lead at all levels of our ecosystem. So that includes MLS First Team, MLS Next Pro, our development league, and MLS Next, our youth academy system. So let's go on. So here are the different pillars. So we mentioned database. This is a collection of all underrepresented candidates. This is open to anyone that wants to submit their profile to MLS. And the way that this works is in as part of the policy for all open positions on the sporting side, a club will have to let us know when a new position is opened or available. And in some cases, they'll even ask us for profiles of candidates that they can interview and have part of the candidate pool. So we'll go through our database and like, depending on their criteria, if they're looking for a coach with head coach experience, with an A license, or even like our youth academies, like just looking for kind of basic criteria that speaks, a couple of different languages, we can go into our database and see who's a good fit for that. We'll share those profiles and resumes with our clubs so that they can be considered. And again, this database is open to all candidates. I'm going to share a QR code at the end of the presentation for everyone to have the link to upload their information into that database. These two other pillars, professional development and networking, these are specifically designed as part of our MLS Advanced program. And this is reserved for a select cohort of candidates. So we are in our second year. Our first year, our cohort consisted of 12 candidates. This year we expanded and our pool of candidates is 16. So we work with these candidates on a yearly annual basis. It's an annual long program, but we will, deliver some workshops around MLS rules and regulations, some leadership training. Part of that, you also get mock interviews and career pathing that we do with all our candidates. And then the big kind of key to this too is networking and like creating that opportunity to access our decision makers at clubs. So in conjunction with our chief soccer officer annual meeting, we'll bring our candidates and it'll be a 2-day workshop. You're going to see a video on that shortly here, but that 2-day workshop will give you professional development, some mock interviews, and then we bring you together and do speed networking with our chief soccer officers. And then there's also opportunity for more casual networking as well. But that's a big piece of this. And go ahead and Pip, we can play the video.
This is our second year of running MLS Advanced. For the first year, 66% of the candidates were hired. And I think it's really a reflection of the talent that's out there, the talent that wants to contribute to Major League Soccer, and the access and belief that our CSOs have in creating an opportunity for these candidates who might not have otherwise had a chance to contribute to the success of their club. So it's a comprehensive program that we've designed in concert with our chief soccer officer meeting. Candidates who might not have been exposed to Major League Soccer before get a firsthand experience about what we're all about.
Being here and getting, I think in reality, I'm getting 6 interviews in a short space of time. You can't have a better experience than that.
I'd say probably the biggest obstacle in getting a role in MLS is the obvious in terms of the stereotypes sometimes around women in football, and having maybe to prove yourself that little bit more in terms of your knowledge and game understanding and your ability to do the role as a woman.
On the sporting side of the business, there are very, very few women in these roles. And it's so important to be able to get through the initial interview, and MLS Advanced creates those connections that will inevitably improve the opportunities for those people going forward.
My favorite part of MLS Advanced so far has definitely been meeting people that I may never come in contact with. So gaining those opportunities has been really important.
The MLS Advanced program means a lot to me because it gives me the opportunity to be able to network and understand the MLS ecosystem.
The cohort of individuals that the league has brought in, they have been extremely qualified, interesting people that there's no way I would have been able to identify those people without the support of MLS Advanced.
You're being exposed to new people that you probably wouldn't have been. And anytime you do that, you're connecting with somebody. And in these meetings that we have, all of a sudden, if there's some sort of a spark, a connection, you may not be hiring that person right now, but all of a sudden, when there's an opportunity that's available, that person can be thought of.
But we have a real opportunity to be pace setters for the global game with respect to Black executives and coaches. And a program like MLS Advanced that is looking to make that a reality is really something special, something I'm excited to be a part of.
Yeah, we can bring on Carly and Steph and I'll let them introduce themselves. Hi, ladies. Steph, why don't you go first? Let us know who you are, where you're coaching, and then Carly will flip it over to you and talk about a little bit about your coaching pathway too.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Christine. Hi, Carly. Hi, everyone. And Women's Soccer, thank you so much for hosting us and having us be part of Career Day, Career Fair, I should say. So I have been coaching actually at many levels of the game. I have youth experience, high school, college, and currently within the semi-professional environment. So I am the head coach for Morris Elite in New Jersey. We play within USLW League. I am proud to say that we are Metropolitan Division champs 2 seasons in a row. So we're approaching our third season and building a great roster at the moment. So excited for this next season coming up. In addition to coaching responsibilities, I am also the girls' technical director for the club environment, instilling new curriculum and working with the staff on making sure that the girls' side particularly is engaged and excited to play and having fun while also learning what it's like to compete at higher levels. So hopefully we're building our own homegrowns within the club.
Thanks, Steph. Carly?
Hi everyone, I'm Carly Williams. I'm from England, so a little way away. I am currently full-time. I am the player care lead for the Academy at Arsenal Women's Football Club. I'm also coaching in the under-21s, in the under-21 WSL League. So really competitive over here, and we're kind of mid-season in cup run, so it's very, very busy. I think a bit about my coaching journey. I started in boys football. So I came through kind of the grassroots and then the elite boys route. And then decided I had something to give in women's football. So I've been at Arsenal for 6 years now, which has been good. Coached every age group now, I think, from under 10s to under 21s. And then also linking our players that are out on dual sign at other clubs in senior environments, as well as training in our first team. I think also additional to that, I've been working with the England under 17 squad, which has been really good, preparing them for the Euros. And then I'm with the English schools under 15s team as well, coming up next weekend. So it's a busy period at the moment.
It's very busy. You have a lot of an incredible resume, both of you. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to holding multiple positions and trying to get ahead. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with MLS Advance, where we started with a group in November and we've had a few months together?
I'll go first and then Carly. So my participation has been really exciting thus far. I really consider this a value add for my coaching journey. It's opened doors to meeting really close members of MLS clubs, and on the technical side specifically. Additionally, I've thoroughly enjoyed preparing for future conversations with MLS organization stakeholders. So having Bloom Sports and others come into the environment and tell us more about what we can expect once we hit that opportunity is really beneficial. So it's been a great experience thus far, and I feel like we're just starting too. So it's more to come.
Yeah, I'd completely echo that. I think it's been really important for me. It's kind of opened my eyes into what the MLS ecosystem looks like coming from England. I think it is very different in terms of the way it's set up, and Next Pro and Next. And I think actually being in the room and kind of networking with people that we probably would have never met, I think has been really, really key. Each other as well. I think hearing the experiences of each other and learning off each other, and then kind of, I guess, getting our niche of kind of what are our super strengths, like how do we portray ourselves, how do we make or present ourselves the best in those kind of meetings when we're meeting CSOs. And for me, like I said, it's very much about the landscape. What does the landscape look like over in the MLS? That was probably my biggest learning, as well as networking.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit, either one, we'll start with you, Carly, about like how your experience, like how did you find the engagement from the chief soccer officers?
I think coming over, I was obviously really nervous, because it was lots of new names. Everyone was really welcoming and really down to earth. It didn't matter what kind of role they had in clubs, CSOs, or working in HR. That was really, really good. And I think in terms of kind of how they kind of linked with us and got to know us as people, not just what our skills are, what our resume said, but then also kind of found out what our passions were, where our drives were. I think that was really, really key for me, like just that kind of human aspect, which sometimes we maybe don't have in England. It's about ticking a box on the CV. So that's what I really enjoyed about kind of the experience of meeting the CSOs.
I echo a lot of that. And I recall Carly and I meeting within the first couple of minutes, and both of us were extremely nervous, but entering the environment together was really fun. And as you met with some of the CSOs and some other members of the clubs, you started to settle a little bit and your nerves started to go away. I was pleasantly surprised with how easy a lot of the conversations went. And I was told, as a friendly reminder, they're human just like you. And that was probably the biggest piece of like message that I got that day, that I was starting to meet them, to just almost like take a breath, relax, like you're having a conversation with another human being. They just happen to be in a larger technical role within an organization that you hope to be part of one day. So it's really been the networking aspect has really showed me that this is probably the best portion of the program, just because when else would I be able to meet many of these individuals over the course of, you know, not just my coaching journey, but my life experience. So I'm very thankful and blessed that I got that opportunity specifically.
Awesome. And you kind of touched on a little bit, but like just creating a network with the other candidates themselves. Like this is a community that we're building. And I know we paired a few of you up with past members. But can you talk about like the community that you're finding with each other?
On site, this was probably one of the most heartfelt experiences that I've ever had, where we all shared our personal statements and you got a glimpse into each individual's, not necessarily full journey or challenges, but the why that you coach. And for me, my why has always been the backbone or the cornerstone of why I do what I do. So to hear that many of the other coaches had, you know, intersecting similarities to my why was actually really, really awesome. I find that always to be within the coaching environment, you find like-minded individuals. And it just so happened to be that I had, you know, however many cohort members surrounding me telling me their why. And I truly, you know, appreciated their stories, and as they did mine too.
I think for me, the purpose bit was really key. I think kind of knowing not only why you're doing it, but what are you aiming for? And I think that really, really came out. And I think although I was extremely nervous about the mock interview, I think that was probably the best thing for me in terms of how am I presenting to others. And I think that's hard sometimes to get that feedback, like how do others see you? Like, are you presenting what you think you are? And I think that was really key with like our sharing. And I think all of us have kind of celebrated the successes of each other since. And bear in mind, we only met in December. It feels like we've known each other for forever. So I think like the networking of the candidates like has been really, really key as well. And we have been quite a close-knit group, which has been really good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I see we're running short on time here. But like, I also want to acknowledge too that like for women coaches or technical staff on the sporting side, it was mentioned in the video, like MLS hasn't always been at the top of the game when it comes to this, but we want everyone here listening and like across the whole coaching community to know that MLS is open. It is going to take that first kind of person to kind of break down that barrier and see that it is possible. Like we do have women coaches at our MLS Next academies. But once we start seeing that more commonplace in our first team, like that's our goal, right? Like that's our initiative. Like that's why we have this initiative, is to create those opportunities. But for you, Steph and Carly, like, do you see coaching in the men's game as any different than you would coaching in the women's game?
I'll go first. I think for me, like football's always been football. So it doesn't matter to me in terms of girls' game, men's game, and I think that barrier very much does need to be broken. I think we've had a few incidences in the English game and in Europe, but like even at the festival that we went to, like female coaches were few and far between. So actually, like these sorts of initiatives are really, really important to kind of get us in front of those CSOs, those technical staff, and also to inspire others. I think that's really, really important as well. Have that role model, and kind of go on the journey together. I think they're probably the most key points for me.
I echo that, and I would just add that I think the biggest challenge, there's no challenge to what you're coaching the game, but perhaps the biggest challenge for myself is the internal dialogue. You know, would I be taken seriously as a female coach standing 5'5"? What's the locker room environment like? Because that's very different in the women's game. You know, would I be taken for granted? Things like that. But again, it's all internal dialogue. So being part of this environment is only showing me that, like, try to get rid of that fear, try to get rid of that internal dialogue and move forward, because the answer is yes, you can.